10 years, because it was disease of commercial poultry, and no veterinary student wants to listen to that, because they're not going to do poultry. So Dr. West convinced me as the new resident, we will do backyard poultry medicine, something totally different. So went from 16 hours at UC Davis to 8 hours at Oregon State, which I do that every year and continue to do so. Slam and jam 8 hours worth of poultry diseases and a little bit of management down the veterinarian's throat, the students. They love it because it's all interactive. But I only have 1 hour. So I had to kind of squeeze things down, leave out some good stuff, but we can do this again and again and again, because the more you know about the poultry diseases that you're going to face, and you will face them. In my world, it's not if, it's when, and the when is you're out of business. Because you did something stupid. You forgot to do something. You got lazy. You didn't think, oh, this will never happen to me. It will. Okay? Been there, done that. I work in 5 states in British Columbia. I work with mid-sized poultry companies, and I've got little people. My little people that I deal with. They're the worst ones to deal with. They're equal to my corporate owners who don't understand stuff. Well, I own the company. I can do as I damn well please. Well, so can the diseases. They do as they darn well please too. All right? So let's get started, because I don't have a whole lot of time. This is my world growing up, raising chickens on pasture. This is all I needed to do. This is out of a book from 1932. Okay? This is my cabinet. Coccidiosis for cocci, because you're all going to get it if you raise birds on the ground. They're all exposed to it. We'll talk about that. 7 dust for mice and lice. Today's world, don't use 7 dust. Anybody know why? Kills honeybees. Quarter mile, half mile away. So malathion, your permethrin is your best stuff, and we'll talk about that. That was my good stuff back then. And the good old hatchet, when I can't figure anything out, get rid of them. Okay? Easy. These are things we're going to be dealing with. Respiratory issues, bronchitis, pox, ILT, influenza. We won't talk about it because that takes about 2 hours. Bacterial issues, mycoplasma, Pasteurella, which is cholera, erysipelas. These are diseases that weren't even seen commercially 34 years ago. Because we have them conventional in cages. Now you got them outdoors. This is stuff you're going to see and deal with. Got a question?
No, I'm just scratching.
Right. E. coli I won't talk much about, because E. coli, for the most part, is not a primary pathogen. It's ubiquitous. It's everywhere. It waits for you or some other disease to have a little party, you for being silly and stupid, and or for other viral diseases to get in there, and it goes into the party and beats the crap out of your birds. You isolate E. coli. You try and medicate for it. If you don't solve the problem with E. coli as to why it got in there and why it's causing problems, it'll happen again over and over again. So you can look at your management, you can look at what else is challenging your birds. Otherwise, E. coli is there. It's always going to be there. But it's never a primary pathogen for the most part. And we'll talk a little bit about Salmonella, because most of you are under 3,000, FDA don't care. You may get somebody sick with your eggs or your meat, and CDC and FDA will be on your backside in a heartbeat. And I've dealt with them numerous times, and they're not fun to deal with because they're very draconian. You are guilty of making people sick. Now prove you're innocent. Try that in a court of law. You won't win. Okay? So part of what I'm going to be talking about is to put the fear of God into you. Your birds are outdoors now. They have access to the environment. Right? When growing up, the only disease I ever got was a coyote taking my chickens up for a one-way date, never bringing them back, or McDonald's fly-through. Why? Because fresh air, fresh feed, fresh, clean water that Maurice is pounding into you guys, and lots of space is the equalizer. Most of my folks I do with conventional. But I still have clients that put the birds outdoors. And you can't raise birds conventionally outdoors with conventional standards. Things got to change, and that's what you've done. Fresh air, fresh water, fresh feed changes the landscape in your favor. But that doesn't mean that they won't show up, that something nasty is going to happen, and you're going to have to deal with it. Okay? So it's a fair guide. Cholera, coryza, ILT, you get them on your multi-age facility, those 3 diseases will be there forever. You will never get rid of them until you depopulate. These birds become carriers. It'll nickel and dime you to death, to the point where you go, I've had enough, I'm done, and you'll be out of business. It'll become uneconomical for you to continue to be in business. AI, exotic Newcastle disease, speaks for itself. Either the government's going to kill your birds, or those 2 diseases will kill your birds. And they do a marvelous job of killing your birds. You'll wake up, clinical sign is, you hear nothing in your flock, because they're all dead. That's what those 2 diseases will do to you. Okay? Salmonella is a food safety issue. Yes, there's SE. There's Salmonella typhimurium, ST. There's Salmonella Heidelberg, which is unlabeled by FDA, but if they find it, they'll come after you like it was SE. There's 2,600 other species of Salmonella that will ruin your day. Okay? This is why this is up here. Put the fear of God into you. Pay attention. Pay attention to your birds. Pay attention to your management, and to learn and educate yourself. So you prevent a lot of these things from getting introduced. All right, we'll start with the neoplastic diseases, Merrick's and lymphoidocosis. For the most part, I don't think you'll see lymphoidocosis because it's generally been selected out at the breeder level, the primary breeder level. But Merrick's is everywhere. All your birds are exposed to Merrick's the day they hatch. Okay? Go through chicken diseases. This is a fancy little thing. The reason why it's color-coded is because there's 2 veterinary students in here that someday will take their boards, and what's in color are things you need to learn, listen about. Okay? Merrick's lymphoidocosis base, you're not going to tell a whole bunch about much of it, other than you get paralysis with Merrick's. Okay? You can vaccinate for Merrick's day of age. Day of age, day of age, day of age. Don't call me and say, hey, my bird's got Merrick's, they're 3 weeks old, can I vaccinate? Ain't going to happen. They've already been exposed. Day of age is when you do it. Or if they're in an incubator with an Embrex machine, you can do it at 18 days of incubation. There's no vaccination for lymphoidocosis. To compare them, you have nerve involvement with Merrick's, you have an enlarged or atrophied bursa, you have gray-eyed in an adult bird, and you get skin leukosis. Okay, with lymphoidocosis, I guarantee you there's no poultry veterinarian in the world that's going to look at a chicken and go, oh, you got lymphoidocosis, unless we know it's more than 16 weeks of age or a couple of years old. This is an age-related disease. Otherwise, it could be almost anything. The Merrick's, we look at the age, it's generally a young bird, we have nerve involvement, and we have skin involvement. Okay, typically speaking with Merrick's, it's asymmetrical, meaning one side of the bird is going to have paralysis issues, either in the wing, the leg. Also, you can get GI involvement because you get nerves, parasympathetic nerves that can involve with tumors that shut down the bird's digestive system, and they just lose body weight, body mass. And there's no tumors. There's no way you're going to tell what's going on. They should take birds to the lab. The old name was Hurdler's disease or range paralysis. They lose the loss of one of the legs, can't use it, can't move it. They can't stand upright, and they just slowly starve to death. The name for it is Hurdler's disease. It looks like it's jumping over a hurdle. And again, it's got leg paralysis. In the field, when I have vet students, a lot of times, oh, let's just take the bird to the lab. Find out what's going on. Well, with Merrick's, age of the bird, you look at anything 4 to 6 weeks or younger. You take the kidneys out, and you get the sciatic nerves. You're looking for enlargement. Here on the, I'm dyslexic, this is the right side, your right side. You can see the sciatic plexus of the sciatic nerve is larger than on the left side. Only once in 30 years that I've seen actually Merrick's where I can take the sciatic nerve out, close my eyes with latex gloves, and I can feel the ridges are lost. And I can feel the bumps of the tumors in the nerve. Otherwise, you're going to have to take it to the lab and have them look at it, do microanatomy or histology to look for the tumors in the nerve. Otherwise, you won't see it. Lymphoidocosis, another name for that is big liver disease. Again, in older birds, they'll have tumors, masses, granulomas, and again, most other diseases will cause the same thing. If I have an old bird that's a couple months old to a couple of years old. Generally, if I see something like this, my first thought is going to be lymphoidocosis. I also look at the spleen. As you can see, the spleen on the affected bird is enlarged. The other class we can do down the road is how to do a necropsy. Okay, and always wear gloves when you're doing a necropsy. The gray eye, seen with adult birds with Merrick's, it's all just lymphoid infiltrates into the iris. Merrick's is the most common lymphoid proliferative diseases. In other words, NEOPLASTIC causes cancer. It's controlled through day-to-day vaccination. And lymphoidocosis, it can occur in all chicken flocks except there's a few exceptions. Maybe the breeders have eliminated it. And again, on the breeder side, when they find that their breeders exposed to lymphoidocosis, it's test and slaughter. They kill the breeders because there's no treatment for it. Diagnosis, take them to the lab, have a look at the histopathology, age of the bird, clinical signs of disease. Basically, the only people you're going to be able to vaccinate are usually hatcheries. But if you raise your own birds and you want to vaccinate them for Merrick's, you can make that decision. This is the only vaccine that's available that's freeze-dried. Otherwise, the rest of the Merrick's vaccines are under nitrogen, so it's at minus 70 degrees. So none of you are going to be carrying those things around. But anyway, it's easy to follow. 0.2 mil sub-Q in the back of the neck. Trouble is, when you open up that bottle, you mix it with a diluent, start vaccinating. That vaccine is good for about 2 hours. Turn out to be able to save it, but it's very inexpensive. So if you do this on your own, this is the way to do it.
You have a question right here.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know for certain, but I do believe I had a chicken come down Merrick's last year. I separated her for a couple weeks, and she seems to get better. She's back in with the rest of the girls. Is it possible that that issue will come back for her?
It's possibly not Merrick's.
Okay. Because otherwise,
yeah, it'll just continue. The bird will get worse and worse.
Okay.
It might be something else.
Some other nerve.
They don't recover.
She was paralyzed to one side. She was tipping over. I mean, she was like fit the bill.
Yeah. I'd say I would agree with you, but if it recovers, it's not Merrick's.
Okay.
Something else going on.
Okay. Thank you.
Usually the outcome is euthanasia because it's tumors. They'll just continue. So cervical dislocation for backyard birds. Maurice, I don't know if you get the video. I've got one we can share with your group later on. And then they have to have access to it. Just how to do it. Or carbon dioxide for commercial birds. Any questions on Merrick's? I know it's quick and it's fast, but the clock is killing me.
If we vaccinate the bird 1 day old, can we have Merrick's?
Yes.
And how much is the percentage?
Percentage, I have no idea. Just remember, just because the birds are vaccinated for whatever vaccine you're using, vaccine does not protect the bird from infection. Okay? So if the vaccine wasn't administered correctly or whatnot, or the bird's immune system isn't there, or it doesn't respond to the vaccine, it'll be susceptible to the Merrick's. But on a commercial level, we very seldom ever see Merrick's. On a flock level, it's usually an individual bird, 1 here, 1 there. So when something happens at the hatchery, where I lose 300 to 400 birds a day at 12 to 20 weeks of age, and continues because we screwed up at the hatchery. We didn't get the vaccine that some of the birds got missed. Because it's nasty. And it's a horrible way to go. Okay?
Can I see the Merrick's at 8 weeks?
Can you see Merrick's at 8 weeks? Yes, you can see Merrick's at 7, 6, 5. I see Merrick's at 2-year-old birds. Very not common, but mostly it's a young bird disease. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. If it's going to cause you problems. Okay. Say about that later. Okay, respiratory diseases. We'll talk about Newcastle, bronchitis, ILT. We won't do avian influenza because that's very seldom ever see that. And when I talk about respiratory issues, Newcastle, bronchitis, influenza, you're not going to tell the three apart. They're all looking the same. Respiratory, birds respond with coughing, sneezing, snotty nose, runny eyes, depressed, sometimes egg production issues. If they all die, it's probably AI. Okay? If they don't die and they recover, it's probably bronchitis, Newcastle. Okay? There's nothing you can do about it. It's viral. But I'll show you some ways that might be able to tell one from the other as the flock progresses. A Okay, Newcastle, because we're talking about this, I wasn't going to put this in because it's not common in pasture-raised birds and whatnot, because it doesn't spread aerosol like it's supposed to, like bronchitis does. But we have a huge issue in Southern California. We get over 230 premises that have been depopulated, all backyard, and with exotic Newcastle disease in Riverside, Los Angeles, Ventura County, and San Bernardino County. Now we have our second commercial flock that came up positive over the weekend. And so people are pins and needles with what's going on, because UND or END, exotic Newcastle disease and whatnot, those flocks are dead. Most people don't, but how many of you vaccinate for Newcastle disease? Very good. I like that answer. Okay, which I'll tell you why later on. But if you get END, 79% of your birds will die in about a day or two. So that's how you know you've got it, because they're all dead. Okay, so
Were they depopulated because they died?
no,
Because they were-
either Mother Nature kills them, or those that are left, the government kills them, because the virus will spread. That's how they control it. Okay, Newcastle is going to occur in chickens, pigeons, sometimes turkeys, a lot of wild caged birds, showbirds or canaries and whatnot can carry it, not showing clinical signs. All age groups are susceptible. This question comes up all the time about zoonotic, and it depends on how you define zoonotic. You're not going to get Newcastle disease, in my humble opinion, if you walk through a flock that's got Newcastle disease. You'll get it if you vaccinate your birds, you don't use gloves, you get careless, you mix the vaccine in the bucket, you spit it around with your hand, and they'll twitch in your eye and you do this. Oh, it feels better. They'll get severe pink eye in about 2 or 3 days from the vaccine. So it's actually the construct of the vaccine that causes the pink eye. Right? Not that you've spray vaccinated or water vaccinated your birds and then walk through a flock a day or two later and you're not going to get pink eye. It's from handling the vaccine itself. They'll have issues. For vet students, an easy way to look at this is lenogenic, starts with the letter L, low. Low clinical signs of everything. Egg production, mortality, backing off on feed. Nothing to very little of those clinical signs. It's lenogenic. Okay? It's common in the U.S. We see the endemic strains all the time. They're usually lenogenic. They don't show any clinical signs, no problems. Okay? And you got mesogenic, M for moderate. So just think, oh, we're going to have a little bit mortality, a drop in egg production, back off on feed, but not because it's a mesogenic strain. Okay, they cause respiratory issues, a drop in egg production, a little bit of mortality, but it's mild. Okay, so L for low, M for moderate, V for very, very bad. Okay, dead birds, severe drop in egg production, maybe 100%. Okay, acute respiratory distress, hemorrhagic lesions, basic and unvaccinated poultry. The birds are vaccinated. Most of the time, we see very little clinical issues. But even if there have been challenges with exotic Newcastle, this is a vaccine that's helpful. This is what you're looking at. When you're necropsying birds, and someone calls up, says, Mark, I've opened up some birds and there's blood everywhere. Well, I'm hoping they didn't chop the head off or they didn't do cervical dislocation and are talking about that blood. But blood in your trachea, blood in your cecal tonsils, oh, I did an arrow. See where that cecal tonsils right here. And in the proventriculus, which is the true stomach and the gizzard, you get hemorrhaging right in that junction. That's classic for exotic Newcastle disease. Also sometimes for high-path AI. Blood is not good if you see it in the intestines or the proventriculus or in the trachea. Diagnosis using clinical signs, gross lesions, parent serology, which just means we take 2 sets of blood samples, one at a time. We have mortality, come back 2 to 3 weeks or 4 weeks later, take another blood sample and compare the titers. Histology, which is microanatomy, and virus isolation. That's how we diagnose it. Biosecurity, and that's a whole 2 or 3 hour talk on its own. How to keep these diseases out. And when you do have a disease in your facility, if you have multiple facilities, can you keep it to that one facility? That's how the federal government gets involved, saying, okay, how many farms do you have? I got 5. Are they totally separate? Now we have spider web connects, and they're going to investigate the other 4 farms to find out if you spread the disease to those other 4 farms. So biosecurity is a double-edged sword. Keep it out, but once it gets into your one facility, can you keep it there and not allow it to move? Also part of your biosecurity. Newcastle, there's no treatment, there's vaccination. That's really not practical for backyard flocks, but I will say this, and I'm one of the few veterinarians in this country that promote this, and I get smacked by the federal government because I muddy the water, and I don't care about the federal government muddying the water. Because most vaccines come in 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 dose vials. So if it comes in 5,000 doses, how are you going to do 2,500 birds in the water spray? It'll create more problems than what it's worth. That's why it's really not practical to vaccinate pasture raised and backyard birds with Newcastle. But you can eye drop it and throw the rest away. So you can vaccinate 10 birds or 20 birds for $1.52. The vaccine's cheap. So think about that. The feds don't want to hear about that. But if you get E&D in the area, and you've got birds, because the federal government will not pay for dead birds. I would encourage you to vaccinate them. Because if you don't, they'll all die. They get E&D. We'll go for you, we'll go for you. Go.
What age can you vaccinate?
Eye drop, I would probably 2 weeks. It'd be okay. Might have a little bit of respiratory issues going on, but that's better than having a bird.
So the vaccine is available, you can use it?
Oh, yes! There's Lesotho, there's B1. Again, this talk takes about an hour, and I've got 10 minutes to throw it all together.
And which one is better, Lesotho or Leche?
Lesotho will whack your birds pretty good if they're young, but they'll recover. B1 is a little bit better, but if you have a chance to do both, then do B1 first. It's the milder one, not as protective. Wait a couple of weeks, come back with B1 Lesotho, a little bit more pathogenic, a little bit more punch, but your birds are already primed, so they're ready for it. Okay, and then they're ready for E&D if it's in your area. Otherwise,
can I do it in the drinking water?
sure, you can do the drinking water, but here's the problem: you got 100 birds, 200 birds. Vaccine's got 5,000 doses. So unless you're a good chemist with graduated cylinders and can dilute, and again, we can talk 5 hours on how to do that. That's one of my veterinary challenges I give students to figure out. And most of them end up, some work it out, most of them don't. But the eye drop is the best way to go with individual bird issue. Does not prevent infection? It does not prevent infection. All the vaccines you were given in your lifetime as human don't protect you from infection. You will be infected. Vaccines protect you from clinical signs, mortality, getting sick. Okay? Because of my age and my role with turkeys and whatnot, I get vaccinated for influenza every year. Okay? Because humans, H1N1, I can spread that to turkey breeders and cause a horrendous economic disaster. Even though the turkeys didn't give it to me, I gave it to the turkeys. Okay? So that's why I get vaccinated. The vaccine doesn't prevent infection, no matter what animal species we're talking about, including us. Okay, move on to bronchitis. Again, you can't tell the two apart in the field. Okay? But you can kind of, in the sense, again, I got 35 years of experience on this. See, with bronchitis, it moves very fast to a flock. Newcastle kind of plods along 2 or 3 days to get things going. Just 36 hours, your flock is whacked. Okay? A lot of times it will affect the egg production. Both Newcastle will do that, both with bronchitis. But bronchitis also affects the magnum of the oviduct. So where the albumin gets kind of watery. So if I got misshapen eggs, I take a good egg, a misshapen egg, crack them open on a flat surface, and see, does my albumin run, or does it stay high and thick? High and thick, I get respiratory issues, chances are it's probably Newcastle. Okay, if it spreads out wide, the albumin, okay, I got bronchitis. And that's a field diagnosis, not official. That's one way of getting an idea of maybe what's going on based on your clinical side. These are why I share this with you. You'll forget most of this in 20 minutes after my lecture. The next time we do this or something, you'll start sinking in over time some of the stuff you need to know. Because with bronchitis, egg production dropping, get misshapen eggs, poor egg quality. Again, respiratory signs, morbidity, which means the birds all get sick, nearly 100%, unlike other respiratory issues. They coughing rails, sleeping breast birds, dropping egg production. Eggshells can be soft, wrinkled, and watery, and I think I got a picture of that. Wrinkled eggs at the top, here. And you look at this albumin, how watery it is, compared to this one right here, it stands right up. If you're a poultry science student, we talk about HA units. H-A-U-G-H-T, something like that. Knew that word about 40 years ago in poultry science. But anyway, it stands up, and it's a thick, something to measure. But if it runs, it's most likely to be bronchitis. We diagnose it through so the gross lesions. They're basically nonspecific in tracheitis and sacculitis. And sacculitis mainly comes from E. coli. Because now I got a viral respiratory infection. And E. coli is the party animal, jumps in with the cakes of beer and rock and rolls in the bird's respiratory system and beats the little snot out. Okay? And prevention and treatment's been the same as Newcastle disease. Again, vaccination, but I don't recommend it because this is something I do with my vet students, but not with you guys. Bronchitis has the ability of the virus to change over time. So the more you vaccinate multi-age birds, the more problems you're going to have long-term with bronchitis in your flocks. So like I said, I'd rather stay away from it. Don't introduce bronchitis vaccine. Unless you really have a disaster going on. Okay, ILT quickly. Herpes virus, it's a gift that keeps on giving. Okay, it never goes away. Once those birds are exposed to herpes virus, which is infectious laryngotracheitis, it's always going to be there. It's one of those diseases you do not want to get involved with your flocks. It's the only way out of this depopulation. Okay, you can vaccinate, and once you start doing that, that's fine because there's a vaccine you can use, but you don't have to vaccinate your flocks. Signaling disease, bloody exudates from the nose or the mouth. To be honest with you, in 35 years, I've never seen that. When I was back in the 70s, I'm a product of the 70s, taking poultry disease classes. But they used to tell us, the old timers, you walk into a poultry barn, you look 6 feet up on the sidewall, and there's all the blood being slung from the birds with ILT, because they're coughing up blood. But in the last 30 years, I have never seen that. I see hemorrhagic tracheas that are red and whatnot, but I don't see the blood being slung out. Okay, but you will see gasping, high-pitched squeals. The best time to check your flock for respiratory issues is when? What time of day? Nighttime. Take a chair, go in, sit down, listen to your birds. They're supposed to be sleeping at night. If they got a cold, they'll be hacking, they'll be snorting, they'll be snotting. Because during the daytime, everybody's making noise. Unless one of these birds have a little partial ILT tracheal plug, they'll squeal, they'll stick their neck out, they'll squawk, squeal because it hurts. Plus the larynx is blocked, so now you get a whistling sound, a squeal, because they're having a hard time trying to breathe. And that's how they die from ILT. They suffocate. The larynx is blocked, and then they're dead. You can get a mild drop in egg production, but it's not that noticeable, and it's not egg transmitted. It spreads very slowly through a flock. It's one of those few diseases you can vaccinate in the face of an outbreak. Okay? So there's the tracheal plugs. All right, cheesy tracheal plugs. If you look at this, don't just say, oh, I got ILT. This looks exactly like what? Pardon?
Chronic respiratory disease, CRP?
Not in the trachea, like this with a plug. But you're close. Wet pox. We'll talk about that after this one. Wet pox and ILT tracheal plugs you can't tell apart. But in the field, my question to you, young lady, Annie, right, would be, do you see any black scabs on the comb and the beak and whatnot? Yes, I do. And most likely this is going to be wet pox. Because it gets on the conjunctiva, the virus goes down the lacrimal duct into the oral cavity, and bingo, we get tracheal lesions from wet pox. There's no black scabs or nothing going on. Most likely this is going to be ILT. That's, again, in the field. We still take these birds in the lab, get them diagnosed, because you got to look at the microanatomy and histopathology. There's your trachea. Your meat birds, like this, will get conjunctivitis. They generally don't, very seldom get tracheal plugs, but they can, but they'll get conjunctivitis. It's a sad thing, their trachea is hurt, and they look like that, and they can't see because their eyes are all swollen shut. That's classic ILT. Not a whole lot of things will do that. And diagnosis of histopathology, the reason why is because with ILT we get intranuclear inclusion bodies, which is a fancy $25 word, which you guys will forget in 3 minutes. But with pox, we get intracytoplasmic. So that's how we tell them apart for vet students. The treatment is none, but we can vaccinate in the face of an outbreak. Oh, come back. Okay, tissue culture, TCO, ILT-IVAX. That's the vaccine I recommend you use the ILT issue. Not the CEO, chick embryo. Chick embryo is the best for protection, It has baggage, nasty baggage. In which case, if you don't do it right, it heats up and spreads from bird to bird to bird to bird. And as it does, it gets worse. And then the vaccine causes more problems in your field break. Okay? This is an eye drop. Tissue culture does not spread from bird to bird. Okay? It's the safest way to do that. As you start messing with CEO in an area where there's other poultry and whatnot that aren't vaccinated for ILT, you can be your name could be mud because you'll spread it all over the countryside. Okay? So this is the best way to go. This is the only vaccine that is tissue culture, TCO, tender loving care, if you remember that. Okay? ILT IVAX. Okay. Pigeon pox. Again, fowl pox, you get pigeon, turkey, canary pox. It's very slow spreading, just like ILT. Okay, mechanical vectors are your mosquitoes. So in the fall, in the Central Valley, and I mentioned it's no different up here, the mosquito that carries this virus likes to hang around corn because the leaves of the corn collect the dew, the mosquito goes in there, lays its eggs, and they're happy little buggers. Until harvest time, when you knock everything down, mosquitoes get PO'd, and they leave Dodge City, and they head for the nearest area that has confined space with no wind, which is most likely a poultry barn. And there's where you get your pox in October, November, and December. You can get it year-round, but that's generally the time we see a lot of it in the valley where people try to save a little money. I'm not going to vaccinate the pox this year. Boom, they get hammered in the fall. Also, trauma. When you get pox, one of the things you want to do is isolate those birds. Because most likely they're going to recover. Okay, they'll recover from it. Vaccinating in the face of an outbreak helps. Vaccinating the birds with lesions also helps because it stimulates the bird's immune system. And the pox lesions will drop off a lot sooner, a lot faster. If you want to speed the process up because you love this particular bird, you want to pick off the scabs, that's cool too. Wear latex gloves. Wrap up the scab lesions. Don't let them hit the ground. Birds pick that up on the tip of their beak and they walk over and they go, I don't like your beard, buddy. Bam, 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 bam. Next thing you know, in a week, you got pox. And then you get PO and you bang on this bird. Boom, boom, boom. That's why it spreads slowly because it's mechanically transmitted. Okay, especially in small numbers of birds. You got several 100,000 in one location, yeah, it can be respiratory in the air, but that's not all that common. Okay, it spreads through problems with picking, so if you isolate the bird, and isolate it, you can slow the spread down, and sometimes stop in its tracks.
What age?
What age? Whew. I see as young as 2 or 3 weeks. Then it's going to affect anything there's no feathers. The beak, the cere, comb, around the vent area, the legs. And we see it in 3-week-old pigeons, squab. Because they're all butt ugly and naked at that time. Don't tell the squab producers I said that. Okay. So in pigeons, it's usually big old yellowish raised lesions that don't come off during processing. It's your black scabs, and again, your tracheal plug for lead pox. Again, you're not going to be able to tell that apart. And basically, with dry pox, there's virtually hardly any mortality, if anything, except it becomes wet pox, and that'll kill the birds. Because again, they suffocate. Diagnosis, again, signs of histopathology. Treatment, you can isolate the birds with the scabs. That helps slow things down. You can treat individually, pull the scabs off, use a little alcohol to dry up the lesion, a little topical antibiotic, that helps. But make sure you do individual gloves for each individual bird because you can spread it that way as well. Because every bird's got little scratches, little crevices, because once you have a break in the skin, you have contaminated gloves because you've been feeling popped up, you'll put that virus right back into the skin region. Okay? Vaccination outbreak, and so any web application, it's not difficult to do. Just book it through. Make sure you stay away from the feather tracks on the end and also the muscle. Okay, because what happens when you use it, that vaccine's live, and you poke and you hit the muscle, bird gets irritated because it starts to irritate the skin, and what do? They wipe their eyes, and now you get wet pox. Same thing with the feather tracks. Out here, you get too close to it, it's irritated, the bird does the same thing. The wife takes that wing, the wife's on the side of the head, will transfer that live virus into the conjunctiva. Now you got an ugly situation because pox in the eyelids is not good. Birds can't see, can't eat, plus they get picked on by other pet mates. Right? You crucify that bird. If you're doing it on a regular basis, this is one of the diseases that we can vaccinate on a regular basis. If you have a flock history, I try to stay away from it. Okay, after you vaccinate them, you come back 7 to 10 days later with the point of entry, you look for a pox tick. If you see the pox tick, that means your bird's got immunized. If you don't see a pox tick, someone's messing with your vaccine. Okay, and again, it's a live vaccine, you got about 2 hours to get it done. The best time to do it with aviary system pasteurizers at night, because the birds are sitting on the roost, easy to catch with a headlight with a red lamp on it, you can vaccinate all your birds quick and easy. Fowl cholera. This is what the disease is that put the fear of God into you. So please, please listen very carefully. A few number of small producers that are doing the same stuff you're doing right now are no longer in business because of this bad boy. Okay? They put them economically out of business. Talk about losing 25% of your broilers because of other things. This will do the same thing on a daily basis. Okay? So here we go. It's very contagious. Can cause high mortality. I've seen this in outdoor organically raised turkeys where it looked just like avian influenza. I put the fear of God at my clients because we lost 610 birds out of 4,000 in 5 hours. And we thought it was AI because we were 4 miles away from the initial outbreak. This happened about 4 years ago. So we put the brakes on everything, quarantine everything. And I posted about 20 birds looking for a hard lung, which is diagnostic and pathognomonic for fowl cholera. Took me 7 birds to find it. Meanwhile, my client is messing with underwear. And he's going, dear God, I'm done. So we had 25,000 birds this morning. He was planning on losing them all. He lost 4 birds the day before, lost 610 in 5 hours. Until we found the bird with a hard lung, I went, okay, chances are it's not a mixed infection. This is probably a very hot cholera. That turned out to be one. I got negative. But for about 24 hours, this person didn't eat, didn't sleep. I mean, they were bored and sick. They lost everything. Okay? So this is what this disease can do.
So did the flock survive?
We treated the flock. They kicked them out of their organic status. We did it for humane reasons. And I said, we can stand here and do nothing, and you're going to lose the whole flock. We're going to do something because you've got another 20 barns. They're sitting right next to this. So your choice. We kept them out and we medicated.
Antibiotic?
Yes. Rodents, coyotes, foxes, bobcats, raccoons, skunks, cattle. People like to use cattle as ranges to mow things on. I'm glad you mow it physically. Don't use cattle out there. Take care of your Pasteurella, multocida. So do the cute little bunny rabbits called jackrabbits and cattails. Okay? Or people with pets at home that have rabbits. Pasteurella multocida causes snuffles and rabbits. This will be the death of you. Okay? They're not cute. All right? A lot of the folks that I work with are pretty good with acute lead poisoning. You know what that is? Bang, bang. All right? If you don't do it, this is the issues you're going to be dealing with. Again, domestic cats and dogs, they also carry the infection. Okay, clinical signs, chickens, sudden death, abscesses, enteritis, central nervous system issues, swollen wattles, swollen foot pads, and turkeys, same as chickens above, except we get something that's almost pathognomonic, $25 fancy word meaning, I see this, I got cholera. Doros pulmonis, right? Hard lung, consolidated necrotic lung, usually the left lung. I can spend 20 minutes explaining to you how that happens, amazingly enough. About 80% of the birds are going to have the left lung involved. Blood in the mouth of a turkey or a chicken means that bird's going to be dead in about 20 minutes. Because one lung doesn't function, it's consolidated necrotic, so all that blood shifts, flows over to the other side of the lung, floods it with so much blood, just overwhelms it. The blood goes out into the air capillaries, and the air tubes, and the bronchi, and out the mouth. And that bird's got like 20 minutes to live, and it's going to drop dead. It's another acute thing of just looking at visually going, we're in deep doo-doo. Yes?
Can I see it in meat bear?
You can see this in meat turkeys. Yes, and breeders. But broilers, for the most part, are going to get swollen wattles. They're going to get the swollen foot pads. But they usually don't have lung involvement. But the acute death and mortality is going to happen in meat broilers as well. When you get it. This is your hard lung. This is the normal lung that I took out from another turkey because Usually the other lung, quote unquote, is just bloody red, dark red. You don't want it. And what you don't want to do if you're doing cultures for vet students in a diagnostic lab, you do not culture the affected lung. Why? Because it's dead, nothing in it. It's easy to culture. This one over here is a BITCH to culture because it's fluidy and moves around. Your wand bends and you get frustrated. But that's where the live bacteria are going to be. Okay? So you get pericarditis, you get synovitis in the joints, you get your swollen lungs in your chickens. Liver, again, septic, bacterial granulomas in the liver and spleen can be anything besides cholera, erysipelas, staph, whatnot, but you also see those two things. Diagnosis, we culture for the bacteria, clinical signs, gross lesions. You can treat them, agribond, tetracycline, oxytet works, high levels of oxytet work really well. NACL is the golden goose for this. I've treated breeder flocks that were losing 400 to 500 birds a day. We used NACL, used the cattle dose. Next day, lost one. And my next notice of memo was get a semi-load of this stuff, because it is fantastic. Trouble is there's no residual effect. About the next day or two, the antibiotic is gone, now they're susceptible again. But it stops it in its tracks. Biosecurity is the key. Again, fencing. Keep these critters out of your flocks. Right? Sound fencing. The gentleman before me talked about fencing, burying the fence and putting strips of woven fence on the ground. Jason outside the fence, keep them burrowing in, avoid cattle, rabbits, other mammals that eat rodents. Quick response to a mauled bird. No first aid. You euthanize that bird. If you think that pasture-raised layer broiler got mauled by an animal, no first aid. Okay, this is population medicine I'm talking about. You want to save the rest of your flock? You euthanize that bird. You spray disinfectant around where you found that bird. You bury, you burn, you do whatever, and you wash your hands. Right? You're playing Russian roulette, and you've got 4 or 5 barrels that aren't empty. Okay, you got 1 or 2 that are empty. The rest are full of bullets. You play God, God doesn't like you. Okay? I've seen a turkey farm with 70,000 turkeys, lose over 50% of the turkeys. There's a gentleman there tried to save 14 turkeys that got mauled by coyotes. He saved 2 of them and then lost the ranch. Okay? It happens. People want to be nice. Don't be nice. Not with this. And I would err on the side of thinking this bird got mauled and taking it out. You're God. Trust me. Salmonella, another spirit of God. 2,600 species. 2,600 species of salmonella that are out there. 2,598 love chicken. Okay? Love it there, and you love everything else too. We'll talk about that. And those are non-host specific parasitoids. They infect plant, animal species, and ubiquitous. Number A, if they're host specific, and we'll talk about that in a second, you don't want those either. Okay? They're non-zoonotic, they don't affect it. Back in the 20s and 30s, cholera devastated the poultry industry in the U.S. To the point in 1935 or 1936, they developed a national poultry improvement plan. Test, slaughter. You're positive for cholera, that's a dead breeder flock. Okay, that's how they get rid of it. Same thing with yellow laryngos, soft typhoid. Okay, we're not going to talk much about it because if you get it, you're done. Your flocks are gone. USDA come in and fill them all. Okay, that's why when you buy chicks, you want to make sure you buy chicks from hatcheries that are NPIP monitored and they follow their protocols for salmonella form, as well as NC. Okay, we see this disease probably once or twice every 10 years. It's generally in the backyard flock somewhere. Okay, someone did something and they start shipping birds all over the place and they track it back to the point source, which is generally just a small producer with a specialty breed that somehow got cholera involved and lost all the birds. Non-host specific, they're big transmitted, some of them were zoonotic. The big boys here, just to name a few, Pasteurella, SC, Iridis, Heidelberg. I've got a chart that follows USD. I call it my Magnificent 7. There's 7 salmonellas. USDA does not like on the meat bird side. And go ape monkey. On the egg side, it's SE right now. But again, verbally, Heidelberg has been included. So if they find Heidelberg on your facility, they're going to treat this like SE, even though it's not in the food safety regs. They've made that point. They're not going to change it. It's all verbal. So we've been verbally warned. Okay, so I hopefully that you're selling eggs to the public. You have who has an egg quality assurance plan? Oh my God, we need to talk about that, Maurice. You can get that going, all right? Like I said, you're under 3,000, you're under the radar, and so you get somebody sick. The FDA and CDC don't care who you are. They'll come after you with guns blazing. And my humble experience dealing with 4 of these in the past 20 years is they'd rather see you out of business and continue selling eggs to the public. That's their whole approach. When they come to you saying, this is what we will do. Boom, 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 boom. I'll go out of business. That's too bad. They don't care. Okay? So, let's develop an equal insurance plan for you folks. Okay.
Is there a template you go to?
I have one, and we're going to have to share it with Reese and the whole group. Okay? Alright, we talked about that, then with food safety poultry with eggs and USDA, we talked about that. Boom, boom. Again, chicks, usually you're going to have some mortality 1 to 4 weeks of age with salmonella. Okay, they're usually in sometimes asymptomatic, meaning they look just fine. They're salmonella positive. They've got some little serotype that means nothing and we can't spell and nobody cares about, doesn't cause any infection. Salmonella. I would be boastful by saying, you know, if we took a 2-year period and sampled a lot of backyard flocks, I bet you we'd let someone know. A lot of it's probably no big deal. It's there. It's ubiquitous. Okay? But it's nice to know what you've got and know what you can do with it. Okay? The adults generally take asymptomatic. Every once in a while you'll get, I had one issue with a cage-free flock. They were 28 weeks old and they had a little bit of high mortality. We thought they had SE. That was killing them. So SE can kill adults. It's not that common. Okay? So it can happen. Lesions, again, look just like bacteria. Cholera, erysipelas, staph. You can't look at these lesions and say, oh, I got salmonella. We got to do some culture to figure out what's going on. Same thing with the liver, same thing with the ovaries. Went to a calves lab, which could be in Davis or Turlock or in Tulare or San Bernardino. Biology and culture treatments. Some people do treat. They get salmonella infections that aren't food safety issue. Sulfur compounds, neomycin. In breeders, generally, if it's SC or Typhon Heidelberg, they put the flocks down because it's egg transmitted. These breeder flocks, they don't want to be shipping chicks coming from positive flocks out of the country. So it's not an unwritten rule for them because the public here, the industry hears about it, they're not going to buy eggs for chicks in the hatchery. The NPIP is a voluntary but mandatory program. It's voluntary. You don't have to be part of it if you want to. If you want to sell chicks in this country, no one with some sense in their head are going to buy from other hatcheries. You're going to buy from the NPIP hatchery. Therefore, it's mandatory. That's how they do it. Okay? Again, biosecurity, have an egg quality assurance plan. Rodents. Typhimurium can kill young birds. Kill them right and left. Okay? It's also, if you look at the Latin derivation, it's called mouse fever. So that's where you get it from, the mice. So the mice not only eat your feed, pee all over it, poop all over it, they eat the wires in your chicken coops, cause fires, they give you salmonella. Okay, that's why they're not good. Probiotics, vaccination, I have a whole 4-page thing on mitigation that we talked about as far as the positive things we can do with it. With breeders, it's using test and slaughter. This says, quit complaining and eat it. Number 1, chicken soup is good for the flu. And number 2, nobody can know. Okay, Cocci. I mean, I'm running out of time, aren't I?
Yeah, you're close.
So why don't I just skip to the end?
Yep, 5 minutes.
We'll go back to that if we have to. Cocci. Worms, I'm sure you're going to deal with roundworms because your birds are on the floor. Mites. I'm sure someone wants to talk about this. vaccination programs. Okay, Program A, backyard flock, but closed, meaning no introductions from another farm. Nothing. Okay? I raised birds for almost 15 years. I never vaccinated them. I said never had a problem either. Okay? So, fresh air, fresh food, fresh water, closed flock. I don't introduce anything from the outside. Good to go. Program A1, you're an urban farmer. Farmer markets, show chickens, etc. Chicks come from a recognized NPIP hatchery. So these are things I would recommend you put into play. Vaccinate for Merrick's and include a vectored infectious bursal disease virus. Okay, IBD. It screws up the bird's immune system. Okay, so if you get your birds from the NPIP hatchery, that would be the minimum. Merrick's, IBD vector. Program A2, you're an urban farmer, show chickens, blah, blah, blah. Chicks are hatched on site. You don't get them from a commercial hatchery, do it yourself. Day of age Merrick's, that's using the Zoetis product that I talked about earlier, where you don't have to have a liquid nitrogen to hold your vaccine. It's freeze-dried. Just put it on the freezer, add a diluent, boom, you're ready to go. Vaccine birds, so few in there. Okay? Program B1, food safety. This is the live program. You're selling eggs to the public. This is something you seriously need to look at, folks. Don't stick your head in the sand and say, no, what do you mean? I didn't know what to do. All right. Day of age, Merrick's with your HVT IBD vector. Also have a hatchery administer the Salmonella vaccine through a core spray at the hatchery. Okay, 5 to 6 weeks of age. Repeat it again. You can either spray it when the birds are sleeping at night or put it in the water. I got protocols for that when you decide to do that. And then again at 12 to 14 weeks of age. This is the triple live. Okay, day of age, 3 to 5 weeks of age, and get it 10 to 12 weeks of age. Give them a live Salmonella type urine. Okay, attenuated means it's going to last about 2 or 3 weeks in the environment disappears. But it cross protects a group, your C1s, your Ds, your Bs, the number of Salmonella this will protect. It won't protect from infection. It'll help reduce the accumulation of Salmonella live bacteria to the ovaries that get into the eggs. So reduce it. Live killed is the golden program. All right? It's live Salmonella at the hatchery, another live somewhere around 3 to 5 weeks of age and killed. SC, intermuscular, about 12 to 14 weeks of age. Okay. Program C depends on your flock history, what you're dealing with. Okay. There's Pox, Infectious Laryngotracheitis, Cholera, Infectious Bursal Disease, Cocci. Some people can have a vaccine applied at the hatchery for Cocci. You're raising wheat birds on the floor over and over again. And otherwise, see your poultry veterinarian. And you all should have access to the veterinarian. Okay? You really should. There's a lot out there going on that's going to black you upside the head. You're not ready for it. I'm sorry, an hour is not quite enough. But like I said, this is something we can do again. We can concentrate on other things we're interested with it. We just talked about Greece. I was only told there's going to be 7 people here, so I got 8 booklets. I'm like, holy crap. So I'll let Marie know that. I also have an electronic version of this.
Okay.
That I can give you that you guys can have access to if they want.
Okay. That'd be good because we have some people online, about another 15 or so people online. So first of all, thanks for stopping by.
Questions?
Yeah. Is there any questions?
I have a question about when you depopulate a premise.
Yep.
Can you repopulate the premise, or is the premise contaminated forever?
That's what it is. Again, it's a broad answer. But generally what happens is they depopulate. It's AI, E, and D. They do a cleanup, disinfection. This is why your egg quality assurance plan has written protocols on how you clean up your portable coops, the surrounding area. Because if you don't have a written protocol, the feds come in, and again, I don't bash the feds. I got 30 years of experience on them, and I tell them, you're not knowledgeable to tell me how to do this. Just get the heck out of my way. Because I have a written protocol. You don't.
They love you.
Oh, we get in some really mud matches. Okay, the brown stuff hits the fan, and I got no problem with it. Because I keep telling them, at the end of the day, we're in the same canoe. We better need to be paddling in the same direction. Otherwise, I'm in the back, I'm gonna take that paddle. I can't say that because they're fenced. But I'll use that paddle to redirect the canoe, whether you're in it or not. Because we want the same thing. We want this disease to go away. We don't want it to spread. That's why you have protocols in writing. My clients have protocols in writing. If they don't, guess who wins? I go to their supervisor and go, this is how we're going to do it. Where's yours? You don't have one, so use that. If you don't have that, then you'll do what they do. Trouble is, 2 weeks later, a new person shows up. Well, that's not good enough. I want you to do this now. So what happens is, it's a never-ending story. You never get it cleaned and disinfected to their satisfaction. Because a new person comes in and wants to do totally different. That's a fact. Doesn't go down that road, it's not the first rodeo. That's why my stuff's all in writing. I sign my name to it. If they want something done, I'll tell them, okay, write it up, sir, ma'am, sign your name to it. Guess what happens? Where's your protocol? Will you use it? Sure. Because my name's on it. They won't sign their name to it. It's too much authority, too much risk for them. And I'm not knocking them. That's just the way it is. Because you'll have multiple people rotating through. So have it in writing on how you're going to do it. Just don't. If it's not on paper, it's vapor. Okay, it doesn't exist. You need to have it in writing exactly what you're going to do. I get this probably once every 2 or 3 years. The client calls up and says, damn, my samples came back positive for instance. What the hell do I do? I say, 1, calm down. 2, sit down. 3, reach over behind you. There's the cabinet. Put one down, pull it out. What's your QA plan? Pull it out. 4, read it. 5, call me back. 2 hours later, oh, we're going to do this, good. Where do we go? Why? Because we have it in writing what we're going to do. The worst thing you folks can do is panic and do stupid decisions that cause you maybe to lose your business. Listen, FDA gets involved, you're guilty. You're going to prove yourself innocent. That's tough to do in the movies. And they will make you do things that you'll be going, what? I can't do that. Yes, you are. And that's what you're going to do. And you're out of business because you can't do that. That's why you have a veterinarian. That's why you have somebody you can call. That's why you have it in writing. This is steps. This is not there. It's when it happens. You've got to be ready for it, guys, because it will shock your world, rock your world, and put you out of business. You didn't pay attention. It's not the end of the world to get down when you're ready, folks. It's not. It happens. You have a plan, you'll take care of it. And you'll be back and going again, no problem. If you don't have a plan, see that. You're gone.
Yeah, if I have a medics vaccinated 1 day old hatchery, that means that IBD vaccinated medics.
Yeah, because it's a vectored product. The IBD virus is attached to the DNA molecule. Okay, so you don't get the problems with a live IBD vaccine, but the birds will see that, recognize that, and it'll immunize those flocks over time to personal disease. And it's just a simple thing to do because IBD can also rock your world. We didn't even talk about it. It's not that common, but when it happens, it's difficult to diagnose because 2 things it does is shut down the bird's immune system, and 2, it causes actually clinical disease. So you get lots of mortality. But if you can catch the 2 together, you got to do Merrick's. Might as well get IBD in there too. You get it taken care of. Questions? 16 hours down to 8, down to 1.
Any questions online?
Oh.
Just want to wrap up. So like we said at the beginning, the most important part is not that you kind of memorize every clinical sign that Dr. Bland gave, which is really practical and useful, but that now you have our contact information and that hopefully you're building your kind of poultry network. Just as a reminder, this is one of 5 workshops that we're doing this month and into February. So a week from tomorrow, we'll be having our next of these workshops. You can attend in person or attend online. If you look online, you can see the agenda, who the speakers are, what the topics are. And then we have several other workshops planned for the rest of the year. This is all part of a USDA grant that we have. So we're really thankful that we're able to do that. Want to thank everyone for coming. If you want a copy of that digital disease guide, Dr. Belay can send it to me.
I will send out the recording for this webinar as well as all of the presentations and all the resources that we mentioned to everyone. So you all get copies of that.
Anyone, Anne, do you have any comments you want to make about next week or?
Hopefully some people will be back next week and talk more.
One more quick announcement. I passed out a end of the workshop evaluation form. If you guys can take it and comment to fill that out, that'd be really, really helpful for us. That's how we kind of fine tune these workshops and make sure that everything we're talking about is relevant for you guys and it's something that you guys want to learn more about. For the people who are listening in on the webinar, you will get a link to that after you close out of it. So please take an opportunity to fill that out as well.
And those should take it home. Do you want me to send a photograph of it back to you, or?
If you can fill it out here, that'd be ideal. If you don't have time to, shoot me an email if you are so willing to, and I will send you all
Will the resources also include that egg quality insurance plan?
What?
Yeah.
Yes, that'd be great. Yeah, and we'll be in the same location.
I got my pasture-raised version.
You? Okay, that'd be great. Well, thanks again for everyone for attending. For those attending online, very much appreciated. And feel free to give us feedback either via the forum or just feel free to email Annie or myself. Thanks again.